I just spent 3 weeks and way too much of my own money buying, testing, and returning every major Android flagship you can actually get your hands on right now. And I need to talk about it because the phone everyone's about to lose their mind over hasn't even launched yet. And it's already making 2 flagships that came out this year look like last generation's leftovers. Here's the thing nobody in the comments wants to hear. Samsung, Google, and OnePlus are not competing with each other anymore. They're competing with themselves. Generation over generation, and the gap between good enough and actually worth upgrading to has never been wider. I tested these on the same SIM, same apps, same daily routine, camera, gaming, battery drain, the works. 5 phones made the cut. One of them isn't even out yet, and I'm still putting it at number 5, which should tell you everything about how stacked this list is. Let's get into it. Number 5, coming in at the bottom of this list, but still ahead of basically everything from 2024, the Google Pixel 11. Now, I haven't held a final retail unit because, as of right now, this thing hasn't launched. Google's event lands on August 12th, so we're days away. But between the leaked Amazon listings and the specs that leaked out early, we already know enough to rank it, and enough to warn you about it. The good news? The Pixel 11 is expected to run on Tensor G6, reportedly built on a 2-nanometer process, which on paper means better efficiency, less heat, and battery life that doesn't fall off a cliff by dinner time. Google's also expected to finally address the modem complaints longtime Pixel owners have had for years by switching away from Samsung's modem hardware entirely. Now the bad news, and this is why it's sitting at number 5 and not higher. Leaks point to the base Pixel 11 losing its telephoto camera altogether, and a battery that's actually smaller than the Pixel 10's. Pricing leaks also suggest Google is dropping the 128GB tier completely, and pushing the starting price up by $100 across the board. So you're paying more for a phone that, on paper, does less in at least one category. That's not innovation. That's a price hike wearing a new chipset as a disguise. If the leaks hold up, this is a wait for the Pro model situation, not a buy the base phone situation. Number 4, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. Yes, I know there's a newer Samsung on this list. Stick with me because the S25 Ultra earns its spot here for one reason: value. This phone has been out long enough that prices have dropped. Deals are everywhere, and you're getting a phone that was the undisputed king of Android for the better part of a year. The titanium build still feels like nothing else in this price range. The S Pen integration is still unmatched by anyone except Samsung itself, and the camera system, especially that periscope telephoto, still holds its own against phones that launched a full year later. If you want flagship performance without flagship pricing, and you don't need to say you own the literal newest thing on the market, the S25 Ultra is still an incredibly smart buy. The only reason it's not higher is simple. Everything above it on this list does what the S25 Ultra does, and then does more. Number 3, the OnePlus 15. This is the phone that made me actually stop and reconsider what flagship killer means in 2026. OnePlus ended its Hasselblad partnership, which had longtime fans nervous. And honestly, the replacement, their new Detail Max imaging engine, delivers photos that hold up shot for shot against phones costing $300 more. The battery is the real headline here. A massive 7,300 mAh cell paired with genuinely fast charging means I was regularly pulling 2 full days of moderate use out of this thing. I stopped even thinking about where the nearest outlet was, which is not something I say about most flagships I test. The 165Hz display is also one of the smoothest panels I've used on any Android phone this year, full stop. Starting at $899, it undercuts Samsung and Google by a meaningful margin while matching or beating them in battery life and raw gaming performance, thanks to the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chip. The trade-off: software support windows still lag behind Samsung and Google, and OnePlus's camera processing, while dramatically improved, still occasionally overprocesses skin tones in tricky lighting. Minor complaints for a phone this good at this price. Number 2, the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL. This is the phone I keep recommending to friends who ask me what to buy today, not what to wait for. The Tensor G5 chip paired with Google's ProRes zoom feature is legitimately the most impressive computational photography I've tested on any phone this year. I shot photos at 100 times zoom that came back readable, not just recognizable, readable. That's absurd for a smartphone camera. Pixel Snap, Google's new magnetic charging system, finally brings proper Qi 2 wireless charging to Pixel, and the accessory ecosystem that sprung up around it in just months is honestly catching up to what Apple's had for years with MagSafe, battery life is where this phone quietly wins the category. A 5,200 mAh cell gets you through a heavy day with room to spare, and extreme battery saver mode stretching to 100 hours is the kind of safety net that actually matters when you're traveling. The catch, and it's a real one, is price. At $1,199 starting, this is not a budget flagship, and the design hasn't changed dramatically from the last two generations. So if you're already carrying a Pixel 9 Pro XL, the upgrade case is thinner than the marketing suggests. But if you're coming from anything older, or coming from iOS and want the single best camera system on Android right now, this is it. And number one, the phone that made every other device on this list feel like it was playing catch-up the moment it landed. The Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra. Samsung didn't just refresh the Ultra this year, they rebuilt the case for why the Ultra exists at all. The headline feature is something called Privacy Display, hardware-level technology that limits screen visibility from off angles, which sounds like a gimmick until you're using it on a plane or a train and realize your seatmate genuinely cannot read your screen anymore. That's not marketing fluff. That's a feature I actually use every single day now. Under the hood, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, built on a 3nm process, delivers the kind of sustained gaming performance that doesn't throttle after 20 minutes like older Ultras did. The camera system brings genuinely upgraded telephoto performance and a new night videography mode that uses AI-powered noise reduction to make handheld low-light video look like it was shot on a gimbal. I filmed a night walk through a city with zero stabilization gear, and the footage looked professionally rigged. The integrated S Pen returns. The 6.9-inch display is as good as anything on the market, and even the design tweaks, a slightly refined camera housing and a case that's marginally slimmer than the S25 Ultra, add up to a phone that feels genuinely new in your hand, rather than a rehash with a new sticker. Starting at $1,299, it's not cheap, and it was never going to be. But if you want the single best Android phone money can buy today, full stop, no asterisks, no waiting for a firmware update to fix something, this is the one. Quick, honest notes on timing before you buy anything on this list. If you want the Pixel 11, wait for August 12th and see the actual specs before you commit, because leaks and reality don't always match. If you want the OnePlus 15, buy now. Prices haven't moved much and probably won't drop significantly until next year's model gets close. And if you're eyeing the S26 Ultra, keep an eye out for Samsung's usual trade-in promotions. They tend to knock a couple $100s off effectively without waiting for an actual price cut. That's the list. 5 phones, 1 still unreleased, 1 aging gracefully into bargain territory, and 1 that's simply the best Android phone you can buy right now. Let me know in the comments which one you're actually buying, and if this saved you from an impulse purchase you would have regretted, you know what to do. See you in the next one.